What I hate. All ready? You ready? Ready. I think Kennedy's not ready. Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Bogota Board of Education for Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. Please stand for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. To the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Bogota Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Bogota Borough Hall, communicated by letter to the record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Bogota, and posted on the Bogota Board of Education. Irfan, roll call, please.
Mr. Alvarez, absent. Mr. Alvarez,
Present.
Mr. Chavez,
Present.
Mrs. Cruz,
Present.
Mr. Navarro,
Present.
Mrs. Olivo,
Present.
Mr. Ortega, absent. Ms. Rocket, absent. Mr. Miranda.
Present.
We have the quorum.
For the record, Mrs. Ruckett is on business travel. Mrs. Alvarez has to cover some schooling. And John Ortega had a real estate appointment, so for the record. Also present are Superintendent Damian Kennedy, Board Attorney William Sukis, School Business Administrator Secretary Irfan Epsel, Assistant Board Secretary Elizabeth Ruiz, and student representatives absent today. I'd like to open the floor to hearing on citizen agenda items only. Do I have a motion to open the hearing of citizens on agenda items?
Olivo.
Ms. Olivo, do I have a second?
Chavez.
Mr. Chavez, any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. Is there any member of the public who would like to address any items on the agenda only? Please state your name and full address. You have 5 minutes. Mr. Kennedy, do we have anyone present? There's no member of the public, no citizens of the public. I don't see any hands.
I don't have any.
Do I have a motion to close the agenda on hearing of citizens on agenda items only?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Second, Alvarez. Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to section 3.1 of the agenda, superintendent's report. Mr. Kennedy?
Okay, a couple things. First, we have our spring concerts coming up this Friday at 7 PM in the high school. Middle school concert is scheduled for May 31st. And then this year, for the first time, we're going to try something different. We're going to do a combined Steen and Bixby concert in the high school auditorium. So we're looking forward to that. Also on this agenda, our calendar updates, finalizing the last day of school, which will be June 20th. Also, we included a single session day on Friday, May 26th before Memorial Day. And then the last 6 days of school will be single session days leading up to that last day of school. Reminder, our June meeting, we will honor our Teachers of the Year, our retirees. And then also today we had 4 high school students actually march at MetLife and graduate from Byrd Community College. So we will be honoring them as well. Also, senior Amadine Fernandez received a Division I scholarship to continue her running career at Monmouth University, which is a very big deal for us. And finally, we want to recognize Alejandro Rojas, our salutatorian for the graduating class this year. He has officially committed to Yale University.
Wow.
Not only was he accepted to Yale University with an acceptance rate of 4.35%, but he was also accepted to Stanford University with an acceptance rate of 3.68. He's also receiving scholarship and grants, but notably the Gates Scholarship, which is a highly selective scholarship for outstanding minority high school seniors, With over 51,000 applicants, only 750 winners were chosen, and Alex was one of them. So we wish him the very best and congratulations to him. But it also shows that a student in our building with our textbooks and our teachers and classrooms can do what they want when they want to do it. So congratulations to the whole school community on that. That ends my report.
Good ending.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Way to pack a punch there. Moving on to 4.3, approval of minutes of April 18th, work action meeting, and April 25th, regular public meeting, open session. Do I have a motion to approve 4.3?
Navarro.
Mr. Chavez, do I have a second?
Navarro.
Navarro, any board discussion?
I was not present for those, so I will be abstaining.
Just abstain.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Alvarez? Yes. Mr. Chavez?
I will abstain from 4.1. I'm okay with 4.2 as I was not here.
Mrs. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo?
I abstain from both, not present.
That doesn't pass.
And Mr. Miranda?
Yes,
Three,
doesn't.
4. We have 4 yeses.
Doesn't it
And
mean
2
majority? Abstain, right? 2 abstain, majority. Quorum? Majority of quorum, so it passes.
Motion
Perfect.
carried.
Moving on to resolution 5.1 in the policy section, first reading of the board policies and regulation. Do I have a motion of 4.1 to approve?
Olivo.
Mrs. Olivo, do I have a second?
Chavez?
Mr. Mrs. Cruz, any board discussion? Irfan?
Mr. Alvarez? Yes. Mr. Chavez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo?
Yes.
Mr. Miranda?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 5.2, approval of abolishment of policy P 9100 and regulation R 9140. Is there a motion to approve resolution 5.1?
Olivo.
Olivo, I'm sorry, 5.2. Olivo, do I have a second?
Navarro.
Navarro, any board discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Alvarez? Yes. Mr. Chavez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo?
Yes.
Mr. Miranda?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 6.8, which is the approval of agenda items 6.1 through 6.7. Do I have a motion to approve 6.8?
Olivo.
Ms. Olivo, do I have a second?
Chavez?
Mr. Chavez, any board discussion? Roll call, Mr. Irfan.
Mr. Alvarez? Yes. Mr. Chavez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo?
Yes.
Mr. Miranda?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to section 6.12, approval of items 6.9 through 6.11. Do I have a motion to approve 6.12?
Motion.
Mrs. Olivo, Chavez, was that a second?
Yes.
Any board discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Alvarez? Yes. Mr. Chavez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo?
Yes.
Mr. Miranda?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Perfect. Moving on to 7.12, 7.12, personnel portion of the agenda. Approvals, which approves agenda items 7.1 through 7.11. Do I have a motion to approve 7.12?
Motion.
Mr. Chavez, do I have a second?
Alvarez?
Mr. Alvarez, any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Irvin, I'm sorry. I like that. You're on your toes.
Mr. Alvarez? Yes. Mr. Chavez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo?
Yes.
Mr. Miranda?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to 7.17 for approval of agenda items 7.13 through 7.16. Do I have a motion to approve 7.17?
Motion.
Mr. Chavez, do I have a second?
Navarro.
Mr. Navarro, any board discussion? Roll call, Mr. Irfin.
Mr. Alvarez? Yes. Mr. Chavez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo?
Yes.
Mr. Miranda?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to section 8.12 of the finance portion of the agenda, approval items of 81 through 811. Do I have a motion to approve 8.12?
Motion Cruz.
Thank you, Mrs. Cruz. Do I have a second?
Alvarez?
Mr. Alvarez, any board discussion? Roll call, Mr. Irfan.
Mr. Alvarez? Yes. Mr. Chavez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo?
Yes.
Mr. Miranda?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to resolution 8.16, approval of items 8.13 through 8.15. Is there a motion to approve 8.16?
Olivo,
Mrs. Olivo, do I have a second?
Alvarez.
Mr. Alvarez, any board discussion? Roll call, Mr. Irfan.
Mr. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz,
yes.
Mr. Navarro,
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
There are no items for building and grounds. Next on the resolution is 10.4 of the addendum section of the agenda, which is the approval of items 10.1 and 10.2 resignations and 10.3 field trip approval. Do I have a motion to approve 10.4?
Motion.
Olivo,
Mrs. Olivo, is that a second, Mr. Chavez?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Any board discussion? Irfan?
Mr. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz,
yes.
Mr. Navarro,
Yes.
Mrs. Olivo,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports, members?
No.
Nope. Moving on to old business, I'm sorry, 12.1 old business. Next on the agenda items, for old business, any old business? So before I move, well, moving on to new business, 13.1. Is there any new business anyone would like to discuss? So really quick, and just for, I guess, precautionary or safety or legality or whatnot. Well, I've never used that whatnot. I don't think highly of people say. I, from time to time, try to help coach the middle school. And I wanted to take an official vote, I guess, just to make it clear that at times I help coach. And I don't want it to, I didn't know if the board had to vote to allow me, from time to time to be
Coach
part of the
what?
coaching of the middle school baseball.
Oh, okay.
I know I brought that up.
We've had, board members be volunteer coaches all the time.
Yeah, I did soccer and
Did it
we
Lisa-
did a vote. It
Lisa
was
did vote?
me, Lisa did voting, I did, and we did have a vote. I don't know if.
Yeah, so it doesn't require a vote, but for the record and for the minutes, if you guys are okay with it, I would like to try and continue it. They're doing a good job and it needs some help. And I just want, you know how it is when we're board members. I'll make sure to, restrain from telling the kids to wake up, but just letting you know, all right, for the record.
As long as you read the sunshine law before every.
I know, it's like I'm gonna have to, right? All right, thank you, board. Moving on to section 14.1. I'd like to open hearing of the public on any agenda, on any discussion of choice. Is there a motion to open the floor to hearings of public?
Olivo,
Mrs. Olivo, do I have a second?
Chavez.
Mr. Chavez, any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there any member of the public who would like to address the board on any topic of your choice? Please state your name and street address. You have 5 minutes. Mr. Kennedy? Anyone? There's no members of the public present. Do I have a motion to close citizens on hearing,
Olivo,
remarks on hearing, what is it?
citizens remarks.
Citizen remarks on any agenda items. Ms. Olivo,
Chavez.
second. Mr. Chavez, any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to, we don't have a closed session this evening, do I? Do we? Well, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion.
Was that Mrs. Cruz?
Yes, it was.
Great to hear you tonight. Who's the second? Chavez? All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening, everyone.